Check, check, 1 2 1 2 coming through. The sounds, my friends, the sounds. The world abound with the sound of work. Metal blades, cutting the wood. The sounds. The sounds, my friends, the sounds. The sounds of work. The sounds of villages. The sounds of hammers and nails. And there is a giant dog just sitting at the side of the road. As you do in villages. This is part of the way of the world. These are the signs. The sunlight crafting its way through the trees. Melting the frost. These are the... So let's see where this goes. My car is telling me that there's a risk of ice. No shit, mate. I mean, risk of ice. My fingers are already frozen. But that's okay. At the bottom of the road, at the edge of the village, next to the giant concrete communist memorial that nobody really knows what it's for. Well, all communist memorials were to celebrate communism, right? That goes without saying. At the bottom of the road there is a giant concrete chimney. The chimney is about 5 or 6 meters in diameter, and it's about 10-15 meters high. It is basically like a giant pizza oven. That's where they burned the Jews. It's still there. It's still there. There's a little museum next to it with stories about what happened as the Germans lost control of this area during the Second World War. About how there was a great panic and a great rush to exterminate as much of the opposition as possible. Especially those who knew something, especially those intellectuals. One of the things that people don't talk about is that the Jews had informants who were Jewish. Or perhaps that should be the Germans had informants who were Jewish. So it was the Jews that sold out the Jews. People don't want to talk about that. Yeah, they were scared, but it was the Jews who sold out the Jews. There are still a million German references in this area. There's streets with German names, villages with German names, families with German names, although you really didn't want to be a family with a German name. Especially not under communism. And there was still a great conflict in this region all throughout communism between those who were freedom fighting Slovak partisans who were actually sponsored by Stalin. Work that one out. And those who chose to believe in socialism, because it is a belief system. And then those who were too timid to take a side. All it takes for evil to prosper is for good people to do nothing. It's that simple. And that's what political correctness is. Political correctness is just a fear to express what you think because other people have told you it's not right. They play on us, they play on human emotions. The Germans had previously tried to take over this region by sending lots of Germans to live here. I don't know, see the parallels with Muslim communities in Europe. The very first way that you take over a foreign country, culture, maybe even currency, is that you send your population to live there. Your people become your army. Your migrants become your militants. It's pretty simple, really. And people sell themselves. They sell themselves so cheaply. We don't fully value ourselves. That's why we lock ourselves into certain ways of thinking, certain tribal habits, certain cultural frameworks. And all we have to do to get by, all we have to do to survive, all we have to do to make a difference is tell the truth. But I always tell the truth. It's not that easy, my friend. It's not that easy. Most of the time, to tell the truth, is to put your head on a block. Chop chop. Off with the head. And problem solved. Not only does society attempt to put our heads on blocks, we put our heads on blocks ourselves. Our lack of commitment, our lack of gratitude, our inability to love. I could tell you stories. I could. The world is full of stories. I could tell you a lot of been there, done that stories. I could tell you a lot of I wrote the book stories. I could tell you a lot of you don't say stories. There's a darkness in human hearts that nobody wants to talk about. There's a darkness in human hearts that nobody wants to lay bare. People just want to pretend that it doesn't really exist. Because if you pretend it doesn't really exist, it can just go away, but it never goes away. Living with a darkened heart is like living in a cave with a bear. Eventually it's going to get hungry, and eventually you are going to look like dinner. That's just the way it goes, I suppose. But it's there. It's there in our choice to use the echo chambers of social media. It's there in our acceptance of the fact that there are army trucks with soldiers driving up and down this road. Oh, it's there. It's there in the stories that people don't want to tell. It's there in people's refusal to lay bare their soul to the world. It's there in our inabilities to hold on to what we have. Our inabilities to let go of the future, to live in the moment. It's there in the trap of dualities. Which are to understand that opposites in language are not opposites in the universe. Language is an artificial construct. It means whatever you want it to mean. The universe is, well, it's just there, isn't it? We are taught this simplified system, this perpetuum. And in this perpetuum, the word is God. As thoughts themselves are godlike. We are given a system of left and right and wrong. Of apparent opposites. Apparently the opposite of possible is impossible. The opposite of ability is inability. The opposite of security is insecurity. But it's not. Because security is a concept based on the principle of fear. And insecurity is a concept based on the principle of fear. Two sides of the same coin, with a very thin edge. They are in fact not opposites at all. They are opposite ends of the same string, the same thing. So what then is the opposite? The opposite is something different. The opposite is something in opposition. Playing against, blocking. A different team, a different framework, a different network, a different thought, a different concept. The opposite of security is gratefulness, otherwise known as gratitude. Well, how does that work? Well, thoughts about security and insecurity are both fear-based paradigms. You need security because you're in general fearful. And you have insecurity because you are in general fearful. The opposite is to live in love, to live in light, to experience being. The experience of being is the experience of loving what you have, who you are, and showing kindness and respect for everyone around about you. Your actions based on your thoughts becoming a mirror for you to see the beauty that is the freedom in everything around you. Nothing restricted, nothing restrained. Everything released. Everything released. Gratitude. Try it out. Test it. When you feel the negativity envelop you, surround you, focus on your focus. Focus on those things that you are grateful for, those people that you are grateful for, those opportunities that you are grateful for. Focus on those elements and be grateful for what you have. Try to enjoy the experience. Try to experience the moment. Because gratefulness is really understanding momentousness. The real powers. The power of voice, the power of choice. The power to know, the power of flow. The experience to live, the habits to give. These simple ideas are far more powerful than anyone can imagine. If words are spells, then thoughts themselves are the very source of magic. And magic is the very reason to live. To experience pure and full majesticness, majesty. To know yourself. Think about it. Think about it. These are the thoughts. Think about them. That was another Drivecast. Speak to you soon.